The Chaser Report is recorded on Gadigal land.
Striving for mediocrity in a world of excellence. This is the Chaser Report.
Hello and welcome to the Chaser Report with Dom and Charles.
Hello, Charles.
I've got a proposal for you, Dom.
I didn't know you felt that way.
That we rename the podcast the I Told You So Show.
It's getting a bit that way, isn't it? I must say, there's a news story that I heard over the weekend or so that made me think, I remember mentioning this a few months ago. It's usually been you who got to say this, but on this occasion, when I was talking about the this year's instalment of the UN Climate Summit, COP28 in Dubai, there were some aspects of it that seemed like they might go, I don't know, horribly wrong, Charles.
Yes.
You'll find out exactly how it went wrong in a moment.
Now, before we get into COP28, we should address the elephant in the room, which is that we didn't put it out an episode yesterday.
We didn't put it out.
We had huge numbers of complaints. And so it's lovely to know that people miss their Monday morning pickup with Dom and Charles.
I'm sorry about that, and but I'm even more sorry, Charles, at the people who emailed us last week with their Spotify Unwrapped thing. Spotify Wrapped thing.
Yes,
with the absolutely insane amounts of time they spent listening to this podcast. There were some people who spent days, literally days of 2023 listening to this podcast.
So you know how Spotify asked famous composers and artists and things to do a little thank you video.
Shout-out video.
I think we need to do our own version for all the Spotify Wrapped people who had the Chaser in their top 5 listens. So if that is you and you want us to send you a little video saying thank you, like in Spotify, it's like a homegrown version.
Yeah, we can do that.
Email podcast@chaser.com.au or just text me on 0419 282 188 and we'll send you a video.
I mean, JT listened for 7,256 minutes.
It seems unlikely.
Just leave it on overnight. 7,256 divided by 60 minutes is 120 hours. Divided by 24 days.
Oh, so that's
5 days.
Every episode.
Yeah, like that is literally every minute of 5 days.
You know what's even more depressing is that means we've spent that amount of time doing this fucking podcast.
Really?
Yes.
Oh dear God. Wow.
What are we doing with our lives?
A podcast, apparently. All right, well, there you go. But this podcast it's increasingly, I think, the definitive record as the rest of the media crumbles and other news sources become less reliable.
Yes.
There is a genuine chance that we will, if we keep this up, before long be one of the most authoritative news sources in the country. And not even joking.
I would say I think we already are there.
We're one of the few that calls it early.
Yes, exactly. If you want to be 5 months ahead of the news, listen to this. Because COP28, the president of COP28, which is what's it called? The climate...
The Conference of Parties. It's a stupid name, but it's the UN Climate Summit.
Yeah.
Basically, what we mentioned a few months ago was that the chances were, Charles, that having the summit in Dubai, having as the president Sultan Al Jaber, that might be slightly counter to the point of doing something about climate change.
Yes.
Given that this person, the president, the Sultan of Dubai, is very pro-fossil fuels.
Yes. And what happened today is that he came out and he said that there is no evidence that fossil fuel causes climate change. And in particular, there's no evidence cutting fossil fuels at all would in any way help the target of staying to 1.5 degrees above global averages.
Yes, and was very aggressive about it. He said, show me the solution. Stop the pointing of fingers. Stop it. Stop it. Stop contributing to the polarization. And this is what, in the end, every critic of anyone who's trying to do something is just saying, polarization.
Yes.
You're saying that there's right and wrong in the situation, and you're polarizing between right and wrong. Yeah. And those on the wrong side are calling it this evil polarization.
Yes, it's brilliant. And who he was speaking to at that point was actually the former president of Ireland.
Mary Robinson.
Mary Robinson, very respected woman who's been doing a lot of the negotiating around climate, like as a good faith actor. And one of the things he accused her of was talking to him as a foreigner and said, you would never speak to the Norwegians like this. You're just doing this, implying that she was racist, right? And it was actually wonderful. Let's play the clip. It was wonderful to hear her just clap back at that attempt by the Sultan to play a bit of identity politics and I'm the victim here.
I am here factual and I respect the science. And there is no science out there or no scenario out there that says that the phase out of fossil fuel is what's going to achieve 1.5. I have not heard you talk to the Norwegians or others the way you talk to us. Time has come.
The elders
Time
talk
has come.
we talk to everyone evenly.
Mary, time
No,
has come
I
for
don't
you
accept.
to
I
respect.
don't accept that I'm selective. I talk to the Norwegians. I talk to the US. The elders talk to everybody across the board independently. But I'm glad that you're taking part in this discussion because you have such a role as president. If you can encourage that this
Because I'm not a
phases out
hypocrite.
fossil fuels,
Because,
that would be terrific.
I'm not a hypocrite, and I am not shying away from any facts.
As a prominent woman in politics for decades, Charles, she's probably quite used to men sort of swinging their dicks around. She's kind of used to that, I think, Mary Robinson.
Yeah, and what interested me about that whole interaction, right, was you just got the sense that he was just gaslighting the whole conference, right? He was just sort of accusing them of doing the things that he was doing, to being condescending and disruptful and disrespectful and stuff. It was pure sort of thing.
Of course he was gaslighting. He's pro-fossil fuels, Charles. He wants gas everywhere. All lights should run on gas.
But what fascinated me about that was, the fact that we're all now talking about that is the point. Like, he's throwing sawdust into this process. He's just clogging up the gears of this COP conference so that it just doesn't achieve anything. Here were a whole lot of people who had come with good intentions trying to make the world a better place, and his role was to completely destroy that. Now, the question is, how possibly did all the world leaders get to the point where they actually thought that it was a great idea to try and bring on board all these completely pro-fossil fuel things? It's like sort of going, okay, let's do an anti-racism conference, but it's really important to get,
let's get the KKK.
Yeah, let's get the KKK.
We'll get them on board.
Yeah, and co-opt them into this space. Maybe get a few, anti-Semites and Nazis on board. We'll even appoint them president, and we'll just see how it goes.
Well, this guy, Sultan Al Jaber, is head of Masdar, which is the UAE's renewable energy company. So he's very pro-renewable energy if you can get money out of people to do that as well. Presumably they want to own the next phase of fuels as well and have monopolies as they do now.
Yes.
But the leaked documents shortly before the summit, according to The Guardian, said that the UAE was planning to use these climate meetings, all these governments, like all the governments coming together in Dubai, wanted to cut all these oil and gas deals on the side.
Yes.
Basically, you're here, we may as well do a sweet deal on oil and gas.
Because I'm just remembering, was it in that podcast that we were talking about this conference where it turned out that they were using the same email server?
That's right.
That was the McKinsey.
It was all being run out of the same company. That's right.
The COP28 was being run out of a gas company or something. What was it?
It's being run out of the state gas company.
Yeah, that's it.
But there's also this hilarious state where basically a spokesperson for COP28 was saying, this is an effort to undermine our tangible achievements and our positions and success to date. And basically they were claiming, we've already done so much to help fight climate change. And just because the Sultan said this one thing, you're casting us with a negative light when we've been trying so hard.
So unfair.
Why are there critics, Charles? I mean, the UAE is just trying it's just asking a question.
No, exactly.
Just asking a reasonable question, which is, where is the roadmap? And the point is that there is a roadmap. The roadmap was very clear in the documentation for COP28 if he'd only bothered to look. But he hadn't looked, so he hadn't seen it. So where's the roadmap?
Yes.
Charles, where's the roadmap to success for this podcast?
Well, I think the roadmap is a little bit like
The Chaser Report. News you can't trust.
In essence, Charles, I don't know how much credit we can claim, to be fair, for saying that a climate summit in Dubai, run by the head of the company's fossil fuel company, was going to end in ironic disaster. I think that's probably one of our least ambitious predictions.
Yeah.
But what do we do now?
Why don't we? I think what we should do is predict some really positive things. Like the final part of this podcast should be predicting what's going to happen.
We do need something positive. Yeah.
What's going to happen next year, and we're only allowed to predict positive things because clearly we have this Midas touch style thing where everything we predict comes true. Now, I've unfortunately already predicted that Dutton's going to win the next election.
You have. But that will be a really good thing for Australia.
Yeah, but that would
have lots of positives.
It'll turn out that he's tough but fair.
Tough but fair.
Yeah.
And he's going to teach us to respect ourselves again, but also to respect traditional values of the sort that have been forgotten in these value-free woke times, Charles.
Yes, exactly.
There'll be no more wokeness. We'll be going back to sleep.
And there won't be trials to lock up people. No, it'll just be you lock them up if they're a bit sus.
Queensland cops are Queensland cops.
Yes,
Forget
exactly.
your COP28.
Yeah.
Dutton's COP COP24.
But what else is going to happen? I reckon next year, look, he's hoping, but maybe Elon Musk goes broke.
That would be very entertaining. I must say that the reviews of the Cybertruck are in.
Yeah.
And it is looking like we've got to do a whole Welcome to the Future episode on the Cybertruck because that is looking like a hilarious, stupid piece of technology.
It is the Bluetooth of motoring. Well, okay, so Elon Musk goes broke.
King Charles has to resign.
Yes, in disgrace.
In disgrace.
Australia then immediately pivots towards republic, and a republic referendum is bundled with the next federal election. Like Matt Thistlethwaite, who's the minister for becoming a republic,
Hasn't he been high profile in that cause?
decides let's just go sooner, right? So we start the process of becoming a republic under a model that actually is not shit. That'd be cool.
And Australia wins the Rugby World Cup, which admittedly is not for 3 more years, but somehow they'll hold it next year and we'll win it.
And then suddenly everyone realises that Indigenous people have been poorly treated by white institutions in this country, and a national treaty is unanimously adopted by everyone.
There's nothing more depressing than these predictions.
Trying to predict.
And how implausible they are.
Our gear is from Road. We're part of the Iconoclast Network. See you tomorrow.